Hello everyone, Louis V here from Vinyl Latte for another episode of What's in the Box, where we go ahead and we open up a new order, something that just came in, fresh from my doorstep, directly to you sitting at home. We're going to crack open this seal together and we're going to take a dip at what's inside. So what I would recommend is to get yourself a nice fresh of coffee, sit back, relax, and let's discover some records together. All right, let's go ahead and get this bad boy open. Now, before we do, I know this is a little bit of a weirdness. You might be wondering, what is Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds doing here, I should say. And with the do not drop, this is actually an online order. This is from Discogs. It's not from AP themselves. So bear with us here as we get this unboxed. Okay, so we just came back from unboxing. We're just lifting the lid now, and there's some packaging material here that we'll go ahead and discard. And we're going to discover these albums together. And the first one that's up is Exodus by Bob Marley. And this is the very coveted UHQR version. I'm super excited to have this one. This is my first time actually seeing one of these in person. And I'm a huge Bob Marley fan. I have nearly 30 albums in my collection of Bob. So this is something I've been heavily wanting for a long time. And I found just an amazing opportunity to secure one for myself. So I'm really excited to have this in the collection here. So let's dive into this a little bit for the uninitiated. Historically, the album Exodus really was a landmark album, during the time, right? I mean, if you haven't seen the movie One Love, and if it's something you haven't seen, I highly recommend that you go do it. But for those that haven't, let me just give you a summary without ruining the movie. During this time when Marley created this album, really turbulent times for him. He just got done surviving an assassination attempt. There was a lot of just civil unrest. There was gang wars and stuff in Jamaica. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in his life. And, this album itself really speaks, sort of this resilience and about change that was going on for him at the time. It includes some anthems, if you will. You have the very famous Jammin'. You also have that One Love, People Get Ready song on this album. There's so many amazing tracks put together here, and those tracks are really a collection of themes, and those themes are about unity and social change, and they're focused on various different topics. You got songs that are really written about faith, love, freedom, sometimes all of them kind of mixed together. And when this album came out, it was actually really celebrated. Really celebrated for kind of blending this militant and mystical sort of elements with his lyrics, which seemingly kind of what Marley was able to do so well was that he was able to like seamlessly weave his call for social change, but also intertwine like this Rastafarian beliefs. And he done it in a way that it didn't seem like a preacher. It wasn't like a gospel album. It was actually an album that got people motivated. It got people pumped up, and it got people really thinking about change. While some tracks here were recorded in Jamaica, the bulk of the recording was actually conducted in London at the I think it was Islands Basing Street. I think that's what it was, the Basing Street Studios. And they, at the time, they utilized this 24 track technology, which was really advanced at the time, with this goal of like enhancing the album's depth and clarity. The big thing around this particular album was that Marley wanted it to be something that was completely different. So they introduced some new sound. They really focused on that. And if you watch the video One Love, the One Love is, has really two themes, parallel stories. It's about the state of Jamaica at the time, but it was also about creating this album. And you can see just how important this particular album was. Regarding the pressing here, this has garnered like significant acclaim. I mean, it's just, there's such outstanding sound quality on this one. Ryan K. Smith mastered this. Sterling Sound. It was done in such a way that this is honestly the definitive version of this album. The way that this was mastered is supposed to have more vibrant rhythms, powerful bass lines. The sound is supposed to just pop off and really, really come to life. And I got to be honest with you, I've been wanting to hear this album since it came out. I missed it when it was released. I called rumor that some were available at some of the Bob Marley stores, even in Jamaica. I tried to reach out to them. I tried to contact them, call them. I got some headway at one point in communication going where we were going to be able to get something done. And then when it came time to confirm everything, the person I was working with just kind of disappeared. So maybe they were in island time. I'm not really sure, but it never really worked out. So unfortunately, I had to go with aftermarket for it. But I'm super happy to have it in the collection now. And I think it's one, if you are considering, is potentially to add it. Now I haven't listened to it, so I can't confirm everything I heard about it. But I think the masses in general are all aligned on this one. So I don't think I can go wrong. In fact, as soon as we get done this video, I'm popping it up on the turntable. But what I wanted to say is because of that movie, I think the prices on that one have gone up. People, especially younger folks, are getting more turned on to what Bob Marley is, and when they see how that album was created, now they want one in their collection. And those that can afford to have the definitive version are going out and buying them up. So something, if you're going to add to your line, to your collection, I should say, something to think about doing, hopefully relatively soon before they get stupid crazy. I have a feeling that's one of those records. A few years from now, we're going to look back and be like, holy cow, that's an expensive record. Okay, the other one that was on my list, and this is part of the opportunity I got. I've been buying from this particular buyer for quite some time, and we were they're very good to me. But I also scored this one too, and I felt I really needed to set. So this was the other UHQR that Analog Productions did for the Bob Marley series. I think this is the only two that they did. I mean, that's the only two I'm aware of. I don't know if they've done any more, made any plans for any more. I don't think they did. But I just couldn't pass them up, especially from two, both of them from the same seller that I trust and I've been buying from a long time. So Rastaman Vibration. This was originally released, I believe, in 76. And this album, just like Exodus, which really was a significant point in his life, this was also another significant moment in Marley's life, especially in his career. This was his first album to actually enter the top 10 on the Billboard chart. So can you imagine that? I mean, Marley was making music, I think, for quite some time. I mean, he's got a lot of albums when he was just the Wailing Wailers, and then some of his other stuff. So for him to actually hit top 10, this was pretty significant for him. And the album itself is, it's a mix. It's a celebration of the kind of the Rasta life, if you will, this positive, forward thinking, but it also has some militant themes, just like, Exodus does. And similar to Exodus as well, it touches on, some of the social and racial injustices that was going on at that time. And it includes some influential tracks on here, tracks that you're probably familiar with. Positive Vibrations is one that comes to mind. And I think the really big one is War. I think War is the one that really, really comes out on this one. And that track, I believe it's the opening part of that track, nearly verbatim, comes from a speech from the Ethiopian emperor. I think I'm going to screw this up, but it's Cecily says I don't know. I forget what it is. It's not coming to mind. But anyway, the European emperor, he gave a speech at the United Nations, and that speech is pretty much verbatim of what the opening of War is. So that really, for him, that really was a tribute to his leader, right? I mean, he worshipped this guy, and it was part of his deep Rastafarian, kind of influences and advocacy for peace and equality that was really influencing that song for War. And I think, honestly, when you think about some of the things that we have going on in today's world, this song's very relevant. It was so important to Marley that actually it remained a constant song throughout his live performances, I think up until he died. I mean, I think he died in 81, and he was performing that song at every live concert since it came out. So, you know, that's pretty significant for an artist to keep that song in their set list for all that time. I think it really highlights how significant in his, the messaging was for him and what he was trying to get out to the people. Marley was very much about touching and inspiring people through music. And if he really felt something was important enough, that's how he communicated his message to folks. Now, this is, as we said earlier, this is the UHQR. This is a limited run. It was 3,500 copies on this guy here. And, once they're out kind of situation. This was the whole UHQR thing. If you're not familiar, I mean, it's really a process that's designed to enhance the audio quality of the original recordings. Right? They'd spend a lot of time focus on, in these cases with both of these albums, really restoring the full power of the bass lines, improving the overall sound quality, giving that sound transparency, if you will. And the result that you get through this process is that it's music that's delivered with more precise high frequency transients. You really allow those synth lines to come out. You allow the other details of the music to come out. And what you get is just this masterpiece of a recording. You can see kind of behind me, I have several of UHQRs. They're one of my favorite audiophile records to collect. You almost can't go wrong. I would argue that there's one or two Steely Dans that a little bit missed the mark for me, especially after Asia, and I've mentioned that before in a video. But overall, you really can't go wrong with UHQR. If you can get into the door, if you can pay the entry fee, you're going to be happy. And it's going to be one of those records that when friends come over to say, hey, what do you got on vinyl? Show me what all this vinyl thing is. Why is vinyl more important? Why is vinyl better than streaming? Blah, 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 blah. You drop one of these records on, they're going to hear their favorite songs, an album that they never heard. Like, it's three-dimensional. It's amazing. And kudos to AP for constantly delivering stellar records. I'm really happy with them and the label. They haven't let down their folks or their fans, so really happy. Anyway, folks, Bob Marley, two amazing additions to the collection here. The Exodus and, of course, Rastaman Vibration. Super excited to have them in my collection. I'm going to go sign off now and put these on my turntable and give them the spin. But I really appreciate y'all jumping in with me. And let me know what you think about these, open in a box episodes. Because I get a lot of boxes that come in every week. And instead of just showing you random records that I have sitting on my table, let me know if this is something you enjoy. Let me know if you like it joining in from home. And tell me in the comments below what you're opening. I love to know what you're getting, what your sites are on, what's your most wanted list. Let's have dialogue. That's what a community is about. Community is about communication, right? It's part of the word. So let's have some communication with each other. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Until next time, enjoy your cup of coffee and spin some tunes. I can't wait to talk to you again.